Wait,
gonna
wait,
let
wait,
that
wait,
go
wait.
away.
Wait, how do you do that?
Because he's on his phone. I'm gonna leave it in.
Are you on your phone?
No, I'm on a MacBook.
No, it's Mac. Yeah, it's an Apple thing.
Apple stuff.
What does this
Yeah.
do for you guys?
I see
It
you
just bounces
moving
your
around
camera.
a lot. Yeah.
I have something to say.
It doesn't have anything to do with it won't show up in the recording. But that will.
Dude, it's like end of Return of the Jedi.
Literally.
I'm so sorry for whoever's editing this.
Should we just stop and then
I'm
start?
gonna
This
leave
is
it
when
in.
we're
I'm gonna
starting.
leave it
Yeah.
in.
This is
I'm
when we're
gonna leave
starting
it in.
right
I'm
here.
just gonna go. I'm gonna go 3, 2.
This is the way.
Bright suns, travelers, and welcome to This is the Waypoint, the one and only Star Wars discussion show right here on the Shared Screens Podcast Network. My name is Chris LePack, aka RumblePack92, and today, the day you're watching this, is May the 4th, the Star Wars day of the year. I'm gonna turn this off because it's really loud in my ears. This is the Waypoint. Has been frozen in carbonite for a little bit, but we've been rescued from Jabba's palace. We're getting over our hibernation sickness, and we are back here to celebrate May, Star Wars Month here with you. And we're kicking that off today by discussing all of our favorite Star Wars projects, why we love them, and what they mean to us across basically everything that's ever been released. Joining me today, we have some other Josh, we have Jim Tasty, and we have Alec Bobko. How are y'all feeling today?
I'm good, man. I got an $80,000 or credit parlay on Sebulba to come in fourth at the end of the second lap, but win the race. Use code Jabba, for a free boost. Yeah.
Nice little split. That fourth on the second lap, but win the race. That's a hell of a parlay, let me tell you.
Yep. Plus 200 odds, so I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see who comes out on top at the end of the whole circuit. Once you've hit, like, you got to go to Mos Espa, you got to do Nar Shaddaa, do all these other places, right? But good time either way. Josh, Alec, how are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, it's a Sunday where we get to talk Star Wars. What's better than that?
Yeah.
Doesn't get better. Yeah, for clarification, we are not recording this on May the 4th. We're doing this a full week out. But when you see this, it's May. That's the movie magic, baby.
Yes.
So on the docket today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to take our favorite Star Wars video game, Star Wars TV show, animated or live action, and Star Wars movie. We're going to say what our absolute favorite is. We're going to talk about why we love them, and we're going to kick it off with a Star Wars TV show. Alec, I want to know, what is your favorite Star Wars show?
So I was going through these because we talked about doing this yesterday. So I made a distinction between my favorite, not necessarily the best, but my favorite. Star Wars Rebels. Like, I went through. Yeah, I remember going through Clone Wars, and it's like Clone Wars was fine because like at the time when I was going through it, season 7 wasn't out yet, so it was just the first 6 seasons. It was fine, but I remember because I was house sitting for a friend of mine, and when I finally got to Rebels, so I started like just binging through that, and his dogs were a bit younger at the time too, so they were kind of a handle. I couldn't really like sink time into games like I thought I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
I just started binging through Rebels, and a lot like Clone Wars, like the first season was a little, I won't say rough to get through, but it was definitely not the high point of the series. It's one of those shows that, man, it starts off a little rough around the edges, but you get to know the characters, you get to know the team, and then, man, every time I watch, you hit that season, like towards the end of season 2, but that season 2 finale, and man, the show just soars from that point on. Like, anytime I hear anybody's watching through Rebels and it's like, let me know when you reach towards the end of season 2. And it's like every time it's just, their mind is just blown. Like, it's just so good. You get so much of what's good about the animated shows, the character development, just amazing fight scenes. Like, just Obi-Wan and Maul. Like, come on.
Oh my god, yeah, absolutely right. Season 3 on Tatooine, like it's hard to get better than that. 2 masters at their absolute peak, just 3 strikes and over. True samurai duel. Rebels is also my favorite Star Wars show. And when we come around to me, I've got a few other picks to keep the conversation going. But Rebels for me too was I believe that was one of the first like Disney Star Wars products to really come out. Like Rebels was happening like during the hype for Force Awakens about to come out and those sorts of things, right? It was kind of our first taste of what that was going to look like, and it put it in a time period where I it's fairly explored now, but at the time it was still kind of one of these things of like what's going on with these early days of the rebellion. How did these things get started? Seeing the empire in its infancy, right? And I just love all of that. Part of the reason I love it so much is one, it's just it's a Filoni led show, and who other than George Lucas just really gets the emotional undercurrent of what Star Wars is. Kanan is one of my favorite Star Wars characters like ever. I love Ezra. And I mean, I got the chopper hat on today, right? Just for that reason. But and that one means a lot to me too, because as I started to get my wife into the expanded universe material and that sort of thing, she and I sat down and I watched it again with her, and it was her first time going through it, and I watched her fall in love with Hera and Kanan and all of these other people, and just really get to experience that story with her for the first time, and that was really awesome.
Yeah. So one of the other reasons this show is my favorite is that it's like, being an animated show, you're going to have some filler here and there. But the thing I loved about this show is that like the last, because it's only 20-minute episodes, the last like 3 to 5 minutes of a filler episode, they'll somehow find a way to like tie it into the overarching narrative.
Oh yeah.
Like the biggest one for
even
me is
side things. There's still other stuff going on that leads back into the main.
Exactly. Like the biggest one is when they get that like droid from that freighter ship, and he's just becomes part of the crew now.
Yep.
Or one of my favorite episodes is when Zeb and Agent Callus are stuck on that moon together.
Oh yeah.
I forgot how early on in the series that one was. Like I think it's sometime like middle of season 2, I want to say.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So, I was gonna say like there's no filler in that show. Honestly, like rewatching it before Ahsoka, like I never watched an episode and was like, this was like a waste of time. And I'd argue too with season 1, because season 1 is probably like the worst season, but because I know we were talking in the Discord about like binge versus like episode a week. Like now that it's all out and you can just go through it at your own pace, season 1 is so great to just go through it in like a chunk. And I'd argue the ending, the finale of season 1 is so epic. I mean, Jason Isaacs as like the Grand Inquisitor is so sick, and I think the show, and then it ends season 4, like the last like 4 episodes or so, like is just like peak Star Wars, dude. It's just fantastic.
Oh yeah, everything's great, and I mean, it was our reintroduction to Grand Admiral Thrawn within canon, right? And he was amazing.
So much so they used him in the show Ahsoka.
Yeah, he's just, it's the guy. It's him. And speaking of Ahsoka too, I mean, you get the I just remember Filoni at one of those celebrations coming out and then like revealing his T-shirt showing like Ahsoka lives after season 2, right? And everyone's like popping off, like figuring out like how that's going to happen in season 4. I do think Ezra in particular is one of my favorite Star Wars characters of all time, just because it's an incredible story arc and I think really encapsulates what we love about the Jedi characters, you know what I mean? Going through those stories and overcoming the hardship and battling with the dark side. It's just fabulous stuff. Great writing all around. Excellent pick, man. Star Wars Rebels rules. Brett, what about you, dude? What is your favorite Star Wars show?
Oh man, so I was writing this list and I was, dude, with the shows, but especially the games when we get to that. Like so many like
games is hard.
so many like just awesome games and TV shows and movies. So I'm banking on someone picking, some of the critical favorites here. So I'm gonna go with a little curveball here. And I'm gonna go with Tales of the Jedi.
Ooh.
Whoa!
Tales of the Jedi.
Dooku Diaries.
Okay.
You trust this guy? He's a Dooku sympathizer.
Dooku Diaries. only for the chance that I think what's so great about this show, and just like all of the like, I mean, besides like because the movies are like the main kind of entries, like when a show can be additive and fill in the blanks or like expand on something. To me, like especially with the Dooku arc, just like the way they were able to expand that character to be so much more than what you see like on the screen on like the like the big screen. Like I just thought that was excellent and definitely made me like more invested in that character beyond just like the jokes and the memes. So I think when a show can do that, like that's a huge success. So
That
I'm super excited for Tales of the Empire here coming
that
up.
one that one definitely made me a lot more interested in Dooku as a character who is presented as an interesting character, but I don't think is given enough time within the films to kind of explore all of that.
He's
Right?
Yeah.
he's like barely in 2 and obviously in 3. Like
Yeah.
he like 10 minutes of screen time I think in 2 and probably less than that in 3. Yeah. It's
And
not
so
a lot.
I do just remember I don't remember if it was the final Dooku episode or not, but you get that scene of him standing in front of like the one tree in the
Yes.
Jedi Temple talking about the death of Qui-Gon, his apprentice, and like how he's kind of coping with that, because I mean he's not in the Jedi Order at this point, you know.
Right.
He's already gone and doing his own thing, and I always thought that was fascinating. We find out that Dooku is the one who kills Yaddle. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Finally.
just why? Yeah, I mean, about fucking time. You know what I
What
mean?
the fuck?
Just
I will not
really,
stand
really,
for the
really cool
Seattle
show.
slander.
No, like that
Really,
we just
really cool
got an
stuff.
answer now that she's dead.
Yeah,
Because
Yaddle
there was like a
finally
Legends
returns.
book that dealt with that, but then
Okay.
I love too that Yaddle coming back and speaking on screen was a confirmation that Yoda's just a fucking weirdo who speaks backwards all the
Yeah.
time. Like
Yeah.
that, it's not a species thing. He's just
Yeah.
strange.
Yep.
I do also love that. I mean, I know like Ahsoka's Filoni's character, so obviously they're going to explore that more. But seeing like her training with Anakin and then like using that training later when Order
Yeah.
66 happens, I
I
thought
had
was just excellent.
the tie-in scene with the Clone Wars season
Oh,
7.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where it cuts
that was
like,
my
right when they
favorite
pull that into
episode.
the hangar. Fucking awesome. Just really,
Mhm.
really cool. Great pick. Good. Yeah. Nice out of left field pick.
And-
I love that a lot.
And the other thing too is like just all the speculation. Like I mean, just in our episode that we had on that, just it's like, oh, who do we want to see like the pairs next?
You're right.
It's like we didn't even
Yeah.
think about Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they still were like surprise bitches.
Well, Tales of the Empire is going to be interesting because, I mean, I already liked Dooku before, but you know, Dooku for a lot of people was just kind of like not a bad character, but just like oh whatever.
Mhm.
Like with what's her face, the Night Sister.
Yes.
Blanking on her name, but
My
Or
brain's
you
stuck
know,
on
Elizabeth?
Baron. Elsbeth, yeah, thank you.
Elspeth,
Yeah. Yeah. Like for me now, she's kind of like whatever. Like she's cool, but like I'm not very invested. But I'm hoping Tales of the Empire here is gonna, you know, really open that door to like see why she is the way she is and you know get invested. So I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Absolutely.
Get to see the origin of the oh my gosh, the Beskar staff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. And we get another scene of another depiction of the sort of the raising of Dathomir too. It'd be cool to
Yeah.
get a Marin reference in there.
That would be cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Josh, what about you, brother?
Yeah.
What's your favorite Star Wars show?
This is tough. You know, I gotta go live action and I gotta go animated. And for live action, I have to go. I am a sucker for it. It's because it's the first one. It did it first. But the Mandalorian, that shit
Absolutely.
just oozes Star Wars. I know
Mhm.
there's issues with it. I know, Monster of the Week, side quest, all this other shit. I
That's
get
why
it.
it's fun.
I understand it. But yes, it's fun. Even in those Monsters of the Week, I love fleshing out the world of Star Wars. I love seeing little smaller communities and stuff like that, and what
Just
they're going through and what
weirdos,
they're dealing
club
with.
shittos all over the place. You know what I mean?
Club shittos, the frog lady, the weird swamp people that are attacked by a ATST that's just being hijacked by raiders, like all this shit. I love it all. But then outside of that, the grander Star Wars story, I love the magic it has with it. You know, that stinner at the end of the
Mhm.
pilot when he finds Grogu, and you're like, oh, it's a baby Yoda, and everyone's freaking out, and they, reach out, they go tip to tip, the boys for the first time.
Yup.
All that,
No.
but then bringing back Boba Fett in season 2, incredible.
Yeah.
Oh
All
my
that
god, yeah.
stuff. And the Luke scene alone,
Oh yeah.
at the end of season 2.
And then
Puts
bringing
it up
back the
there.
Darksaber too.
Right?
Yeah.
All this shit. Going to Mandalore. Fun. And I get the season 3 issues. Trust me, I do. I have issues
Jack
with season
Black
3
and
too.
Lizzo.
But yeah, still, when you're on side quest in
Man, we got
season
a
3,
droid bar. You
yeah,
know, that's
it's
it.
incredible. So that's why I gotta go for live action. It just oozes the magic and the vibe of Star Wars. For animated though, I'm a sucker for this here Bad Batch. Let me tell you.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
Let me tell you.
We
As
got
of
'em.
as
We
of
got 'em.
recording, Sunday, April 28th, I literally
Is it?
just met D. Bradley Baker at the Comic Expo here in Calgary.
Oh,
One of the coolest dudes I've ever met. And I straight up told him, I was like, dude, you're incredible in Clone Wars, but you are on a whole other level in Bad
Mhm.
Batch.
Yeah, for
With this
real.
whole cast of characters, like you're incredible. I'm like, I just finished season 2. It's like you have a lot to go through, dude. You are gonna see some
There's-
shit. And I am so
yeah.
hyped. But even in just these 2 seasons, I love the filler because it's still spending time with the squad, right?
Mhm.
And you're
Mhm.
doing filler, but within that filler, it's like, okay, well, you're understanding why, uh, Tech and Omega are having, differences about Echo leaving, right? And stuff like that. You're like getting these small little bonds with the group, and I am a sucker for this, like right after, because a lot of Star Wars takes place in between 3 and 4, but to get the immediate aftermath of 3 is
Oh, yeah.
incredible. Seeing them phase out the clone troopers into
Mhm.
stormtroopers, incredible. Watching them blow up Camino
Ugh.
is like
Ah.
insane. What a planet everyone grew up with, and the show just destroys it. Like I feel like we don't think about like the gravity of the events that happen in the Bad Batch. And then when they unveil the admiral for doing that, then they're like, okay, well, we're done with clones. And it's like, okay, well, they just did this big thing and now are suffering the consequences. And there's all sorts of strings being pulled here.
Shout out
Bringing
to
back
Nasir
the
Dalal as
Commandos, dude. Are you
Braveheart. Ah.
kidding?
Yeah.
Gorge gets name dropped multiple times.
All right.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just Bad Batch. I know it's only 3 seasons, but what a great 3
Oh,
season
yeah.
run.
hey, yeah,
We
it's really excellent. I can't wait for you to watch season 3 too, because
Yeah.
like it trims the fat down a bunch and is
Oh,
just
yeah.
heat from start to finish.
It's like I just because I remember watching the penultimate episode for season 3 last week,
Mm.
and man, they just like you could almost see the last 3 episodes being a movie because they did not just
Okay.
the
Hell
penultimate
yeah.
episode just starts right where the last one ended off. Like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's just
Nice.
like the tension just ramps right up. It's like, oh crap, yeah, I forgot that it was like right here.
I was on edge the whole time. We haven't
Yeah.
again. This is going up on the 4th. We're recording this on the 28th. Bad Batch ends on the 1st. We don't know what's in store for the last episode yet. When I was picking my shows, like Rebels just eked over Bad Batch, but I adore that show. I like
Yes.
genuinely.
Oh, yeah.
One, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
I mean, it is
Yes.
one of the best looking animated shows I've ever seen. Every time that
Pixar
they
level
do
quality.
like a hard cut, just like an exterior shot of Tantus, I start drooling.
Dude,
I'm like,
Yeah.
the
oh, man.
one, just a minor spoiler for you guys, but the one where it's like top down, and
Yeah,
they cut to the vault.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So sick.
Hell yeah.
So cool.
yeah, he hasn't seen
cool.
season 3 yet, so
I've
I
seen
know,
the
that's what I said.
I've seen the first episode of season 3. I
Okay.
can't wait.
Yeah, that first
But-
episode is so good, and it's like we're talking about. I've got my Wrecker and Crosshair figures up on my
Yeah,
shelf right
nice.
now too. Crosshair, another probably
yeah.
one of my favorite
yeah.
Star Wars characters ever. Like
Mhm.
he's so cool, so interesting.
Mhm.
Shout out to his Imperial armor too. One of the coolest, just baddest
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
dude.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can we get visual confirmation? I need an apology from Josh.
Okay. You know what? I did it over Twitter. I'll do it here too. All of season 1, I just shat all over Tech. I was like, he's the worst in the squad, dude. What a nerd! Push up your goggles, you dork. But by the end of season 2, I was literally crying in the club when he's like, "When have we
Mhm.
ever followed
Yep.
orders, dude? Are you kidding me? Are you
1099
fucking
is a
kidding me?"
heartbreaker.
I just-
dude.
Yes.
I just got chills when you saying I like it because it's been a while since I watched season 2.
Yeah.
So
That, like,
yeah.
line just
that finale like was like one of the most impactful like story moments and
Oh,
anything
yeah.
Star Wars
Right.
related for me.
Right.
And you'll see in season 3, like they miss him. They miss
Yeah.
him.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
there's like you'll see like Hunter like fumbling on a data pad, and you're like,
Right.
well, Tech would have been like, doing that and getting it done. So
Yeah, and like I knew it was coming, and still it hurt. And like he starts to build like a little bit of a romance with that one chick who
Fee.
shows with Fee. Like
oh,
you
dude,
see the way they look at each
I
other,
wanted
Yeah.
okay.
and I was like, "Are you kidding me? They're about to take this away from me."
I'm out on that lady. You'll understand why in season 3. I'm out on her.
And then when Sid
He's
crosses them,
so
I'm like,
dumb, dude.
Bro, fuck Sid. Me and all the homies
Yes,
hate
hate
Sid,
Sid,
man.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's up there for one of my favorites. If I had to pick a favorite show, Rebels was my number one answer. Bad Batch was very, very close behind. And so I know this is a crowd pleaser answer. I don't care because Andor just has
Yup.
the
There we go.
sauce, dude.
That was my
Yeah,
alternate
yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Andor.
Andor just has the sauce, dude.
Yup.
Cassian, really most of the characters in Rogue One don't get a ton of character development through there because it's that Rogue One's not that kind of story. It's they're there to help the plot move around. That's more of a larger thing for the galaxy as a whole rather than an individual character story. So to get a series like really focused on Andor and the extremely early days of the rebellion, even prior to Rebels, just seeing how the galaxy is reacting to this sudden takeover, I thought was fascinating. And I mean, you want to talk about gorgeous? I mean, it's Gareth Edwards doesn't miss, right? Like, I mean, it's just it's one of those shows that feels like every single inch of it they put like the highest level of care, effort, and respect towards making like something really, really good. And a lot of people would argue you can take the Star Wars out of it, wouldn't change the story too much. Don't care. The story fucking rules. And it's so awesome that it takes place within Star Wars. We get to get like a deeper look into the Imperial Security Bureau. We get to see Skarsgård essentially working to try and take down the Empire single-handedly, and then you get in the same episode 2 of the greatest monologues I've ever heard in my entire life.
Andy Serkis acted his ass off there, and then Bill Skarsgård was just like,
hold this, watch this. Absolutely.
What was the line? Like,
I've made my mind a
seen?
sunless space. He's like, I'm condemned to use the weapons of my enemy to defeat them. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then that's all brought to a head in the final episode when you finally get to hear Nemec's manifesto, which just some of the most powerful writing I've ever heard in Star Wars.
And then just like, I know you said visuals, but just like something so early on in the show, the eye when they're flying through that, and you get the one shot of like the trooper getting into the TIE fighter and the eye is behind him.
So good. I mean, just kick ass on every front.
I was gonna say, seeing the bureaucracy of like the Empire, like that, you could argue wasn't done well in the prequels, which is like the Republic, but like you make that interesting, like that's a tough task, like with Cyril Karn, like
he's working at Cyril Karn.
He's working at that like boring ass office job, but like visually it looks cool, so you're like, okay, I'm interested in this like place, so and I can't wait for season 2 when Luthen whips out his lightsaber. It's gonna be awesome. I got one.
Some of the most digestible Star Wars too, like 3 episodes is like a single arc in that show, which is crazy because it's never been structured that way in any of the live action shows or anything. And each batch of 3 episodes is so satisfying by the time you get to the end of it, whether it's the first little bit on the planet there, or the heist episodes, or the prison arc. All of it is incredible and so memorable and so satisfying. Because
I can't remember the last time I was watching a TV show and I was as riveted as I was during the Narcan 5 prison stuff, man. Like I was just locked in that whole time. It was just unbelievable. Just great television as a whole, and then the Star Wars helps elevate that. You know what I mean? It both works on a way that there is lots of really great allegory to real world things. There's lots of like emotional depth to it, but then it also explores the things that are happening within the Star Wars universe at the same time. It does both of those extremely well.
We didn't even like in Mon Mothma's arc too in that show.
Yeah.
Incredible. Incredible.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Yeah,
I think my
just-
Twitter header is still from Andor. It's the Live Laugh Luthen that somebody put on there.
Yeah, he's like, he's like,
Yeah.
on the little wig. I think
Shout out to Andor for introducing us to the raddest child in the galaxy. You know what I mean? Just
Yes.
the coolest kid on Earth. Just
My
amazing.
Twitter banner is Jango Fett alive.
Jango lives. All right. Time for what might be the most hotly contested category that we have today. I want to hear what your favorite Star Wars video game is. And Brett, I want to hear from you first.
Oh dang! I think the movies are gonna be more hotly debated, but
Oh, interesting.
yeah. Okay, so with games too, I'm gonna do like a couple of smuggles here because I actually have some of the games with me.
Excellent.
Yeah. So like gotta throw out Rogue Squadron on the N64. That was like it does a great job of like expanding the world. You get to see like Luke actually be rogue leader and doing some missions like beyond the movies. So that's super sick. It's not as good, but Battle for Naboo is fun too.
I forgot about Battle of Naboo, dude.
Oh yeah.
It's like, again, what's so cool about the Star Wars galaxy is like what's like the Naboo resistance doing during the weeks or whatever that Padme's getting a suntan on Tatooine.
Right.
Like you actually kind of get to see that with Typho and stuff like that. So and Panaka. So that's super cool. Gotta mention Battlefront 2.
Yeah, 2017. Excellent. That's on my list too.
Started off rough. But by the end of its like content drop, like it was in such an awesome place. They were releasing content like every like couple months, so you were always like getting new stuff to do and new cosmetics and stuff like that.
The day that we're recording this is like the 4 or 5 year anniversary that's probably not that long, like 2 or 3 year anniversary of the Scarif update.
Yes, yeah. The campaign's solid. It's cool to see like some of the cameos from like the legacy cast and stuff like that. One of my favorite Luke Skywalker moments ever is in the Battlefront 2 campaign.
Yeah,
him fighting the bugs.
him clubbing some bugs, bro. No, but the conversation he has with Del Mico, it's just like it's so dope, dude. I love it. Yeah, great multiplayer game. But my favorite game, I'm going with Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcasts, my original copy on the Nintendo GameCube.
Hey.
During that prime time EU era where you're getting all sorts of cool stories throughout Kyle's arc, throughout all of the games and some of his books and stuff like that. Like this is like the standout example. I just love how he finds purpose with the Jedi. The gameplay I think is great. The lightsaber gameplay is awesome. Great multiplayer. Like people still play it to this day. Yeah, it's just a story that's really resonated with me, and it was that era where you just see the game on the shelf and you're like, that looks cool, I want that, and then you fall in love with it. So
I remember all of the magazine ads in Game Informer and the Xbox magazine being that shot of Kyle with the lightsaber like dragging it through the wall, and like the Outcast logo is like carved into it with the lightsaber.
Yeah,
like, rad as hell.
Dude.
Every time my brother visits, he and I will sit there and like duel. I do like the dual multiplayer mode for hours.
Dude, yeah, I would have so many like hangouts with buddies where we would just do the one-on-one dueling on the split screen GameCube, like just for hours. And there's a part in the campaign too where like you get to fight with Luke Skywalker, and it's just like, I mean, growing up from the movies, and Luke Skywalker is one of the coolest characters of all time. Like getting to fight side by side with him is just like, it's just peak, dude. It's so cool. It's awesome.
I'm so sorry. I chose a poor time to get a water break. It's hotter than the dunes of Tatooine in my room right now.
Very hot.
Alec, what's your favorite Star Wars video game, man? Tell me about it.
It's a pretty recent one, but I mean, it's hard to with how good it is. I gotta go Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, let's go.
Like, it took everything we loved from Fallen Order and just ramped it up to an 11.
Yes, sir.
Like, just the amount of customization in that game is so great. But then just the story too. Like, it just took that all the building blocks that they did with Fallen Order, and they hit it out of the park. Like, I don't know, we had a whole review on it, so it's kind of escaping me right now. But just that game, it just hit everything that I needed it to.
Today is also the 1-year anniversary of the release of Jedi Survivor, April
Mhm,
28th.
mhm. Yeah.
I'm in the middle of another replay through because I saw that the anniversary was coming up. I actually just got to the ISB base. It's where I'm at. I had
That part of the
big plot
game.
twist. Had the big plot twist just happen to me.
Yeah.
I just got through the speeder bike chase. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that whole sequence on Jeddah is just like peak,
Oh, yeah.
dude. It's
Yeah.
so good. The twist was so well done because like I kind of was sussing it out, but I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was like, this guy's like, there's something up with him, but I didn't know like what like his real motive. I just knew, and then boom, it hits you, and you're like,
It's great because it's like a double twist, and I guess it's been a year now, and maybe we can talk openly about it, right? So especially as the whole cast here has now. So if you haven't played Jedi Survivor, sorry,
Skip forward like 5-ish
Fix your
minutes.
yeah, I know, right? But it was like I was with you when I was like,
I shall do a TikTok dance.
I was a little
when it's
suspicious
over.
of Bo. Shout out to Noshir Dalal, who also plays Admiral Rampart in Bad Batch.
Oh yeah.
But I was kind of sussing out. I was like, "There's something weird about him," and so when he betrays you, I was like, "Aha, there it is." But then when he force pushes you, I was like, "He's a fucking Jedi!" Like that one came out of complete left field. I had no idea about that.
I didn't realize what was going on. Like, I didn't really find that out or think about that as a possibility. But what got me is because when one of the trailers before the game came out, they showed like the speeder bikes on in Jeddah. And I'm like, you get to where you think you've beaten the game, beat the big bad guy, and you go back to Jeddah and you're going back through and kind of getting back to your ship. And then you're like, oh, we still haven't had that speeder bike chase scene. And you walk by and see some speeder bikes. Like, oh, interesting.
I'll never forget
And it
Josh
just pops
texting me.
off.
I'll never forget Josh texting me while he's playing it. He sends me like a photo of the speeder bike. He's like, "Just let me ride it," and I had to like zip my mouth shut. I was like, "Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it?"
Yeah, I was like, I can't believe I'm on this desert planet and there's a whole garage full of speeder bikes and I'm riding this weird space camel that looks like it's out of Mass Effect. Like, what? What the hell are we doing here? And then I was like, you know what? I ate my fucking words because that is one of the best sequences, and then followed up by that Vader fight scene too between Seer
I
and
got one of the coolest photo modes of them in the clash.
yeah,
Dude, yeah.
when they clash and like this game takes place before episode 4. We all know what's gonna happen, but when they go at it at the end there, I like literally gasped. I was like,
Oh yeah.
oh, she got him.
Yeah.
She beat him. No, she doesn't. Darth Vader lives for a whole other 3 movies. She didn't get him.
Yeah.
And then when it pans down and he got her, I was like, oh my God, dude.
That moment to where you get the visual fluctuation and you realize that whole sequence where you're playing as Seer is Pal's force telemetry, like reliving like her last moments. It just broke me in half. That I was just like, oh my God, like, you got to be kidding. I'll get to your game in just a moment, Josh, because Jedi Survivor was my pick for my favorite Star Wars game. I feel like after a year, I felt pretty confident on that. It might be a little recency bias because I am playing through it again right now. But Fallen Order was already one of my favorites, and I think Survivor is just an improvement on what Fallen Order does in just about every aspect.
Like,
I love
the amount of different combat forms.
The combat design, and it's to the point where like I don't know what they're going to do for this third one. Like, how do you go up from there in terms of combat design? You know what I mean? But in the interest of having different answers, my extremely close number 2, like
I got other answers.
I was gonna say real quick. I just a quick kind of run up because I don't think these will be anybody else, but I just want to quick mention Revenge of the Sith games.
Yeah, that's
Go ahead.
Go for it.
because I actually did not have a original Xbox or a PS2 for the longest time. So the first one I actually played was the DS game.
Very good.
Dude, that game rules, bro.
It's
Very
so
good.
cool because they actually had the ship combat where you could like pick different ships and you would be flying around like Star Fox style.
Yeah, it had a multiplayer,
in
too.
Battles. Yeah.
Yep.
So I remember my friends and I doing that all the time. But then, man, just the episode 3, like for when I eventually did go back and play the 360 or not the Xbox version. That it doesn't hold up quite as much anymore, but the
dare you.
multiplayer, like the dual mode, is so much fun.
It's some of my favorite multiplayer memories in any Star Wars game is like the lightsaber duel fighting game. Like it's rad as hell. Did you know there's actually a competitive scene for it too? Like people play tournaments.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
like there's a meta and everything. I was like,
Mhm.
what the hell?
Yeah, the amount of times that I just put in like a ghost player, like just plugged in another controller just so I could play that mode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Revenge of the Sith is up there for me. It was on. Before I get to my favorite one, I'm going to give a shout out to the episode 1 racer on N64 as well.
Yeah.
The pod racing game, because
Yes,
pod racing is
dude.
one of my favorite things in all of Star Wars, and then to get a killer
Mhm.
pod racing video game back on the N64.
How do we not have a new one, dude?
It's kind of there was a second one on the PS2 that wasn't as good.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is crazy that there's not a new one. Although the port of that game on modern consoles runs extremely well. Like playing that game at 60 frames these days. Ooh.
25th anniversary of Phantom Menace, right? It's coming up.
Yep.
Calling it now. We're getting another pod racing game.
I hope
at
so.
Whatever showcase.
Ooh.
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. It just make it the
Because
same.
Disney
as the
does
first one, just
something
new
in the summer,
characters.
right?
You know what I
Don't
mean? They did have a
Yeah.
showcase last year. I think. I'm curious if they'll do that again
Mhm.
this year.
Yeah.
One of those things. But with Survivor gone, and I mean, I'm talking. This is a tie. I figured somebody was going to pick Survivor, and I can't. Don't make me Sophie's Choice this. So thankfully, I get to pick as my favorite Star Wars video game, Knights of the Old Republic.
Great choice.
I
choice.
just like Andor, I know it is a bit of a crowd pleaser answer, but I don't give a fuck. KOTOR is one of the greatest it's one of my favorite video games ever made. You can take Star Wars out of it. It's just an amazing video game. It laid the groundwork for what would later become Mass Effect, just in terms of what the game was, is going there and creating your own like story within this universe, having your choices affect what's going on throughout the universe. And I love the first one in particular more than the second one, because it was sort of BioWare like sitting down and being like, let's give players everything they could want out of their own personal Star Wars adventure. It's you get to become a Jedi, you get your knockoff Millennium Falcon, you get to have a Wookiee sidekick, right? You go and play cards in a cantina, you fight a crate dragon. You know, there's an evil Sith master with a giant super weapon. It's the best hits of Star Wars. You know what I mean? It's a greatest hits compilation where you get to create your character and go in and experience a really, really cool game. Apparently the remake is still underway, and so fingers crossed that's still
Was it by Sabotage?
gonna get out of there. But like, I don't know that there's anything that I can say about KOTOR that the internet hasn't said for years now. But I mean, that's my pick. You know,
I still need to play
I
it.
played it so many times. I have the whole fucking game memorized. Like, I'm not even joking.
What's so great about KOTOR is that it's familiar, like you said, but it's also like its own original story with so many unique elements to it that they brought into the Star Wars world. So, because like I don't know if it's famously known, but BioWare could have made an episode 2 like tie-in game or something like that, or like their own original story, and they're like, we want to like bring something new to the table, and we get like one of the best like video games ever like made. So dude, I love this game so much that I replayed the terrorist section over and over again, because I'm not much of a PC gamer, but like my dad had this like cracked out laptop for work when I was a kid. And I'll never forget, again, just seeing it on the shelf. It was like in the bargain bin section because it was like a year after it came out. Picked it up on PC, installed it, and like, because it wasn't a gaming laptop, the shaders didn't work for Dantooine. So anytime I got there, it would just hard crash. I was 11 or whatever, so I couldn't figure out how to fix it. So I replayed Terrace like 7-8 times before I figured it out. So. And that's like the worst part of the game, a lot of people say. So, but even Terrace is like so freaking cool and unique with like, like with the different like levels of like the society and
I'm very
everything.
supportive. A lot of people are like, second was better because you get to start as a Jedi. I actually really like not starting as a Jedi. I thought that was really interesting.
The swoop racing, the dueling ring,
I
like
think when Basilisk shows up, you see the lightsaber for the first time, you're like, hell yeah, let's go.
the Sith armor in that world, in
So
that
sick.
part, like is so cool. Yeah, like it's just awesome, dude.
Great game. If you haven't
Yep.
played it, please do. It is available on the Xbox still, so you can play it there.
Mhm.
Josh, what's your favorite Star Wars game?
I got three in the
Ooh.
chamber. One based on quality, and that's of course Jedi Survivor. Recency bias, dude. You know the embrace the darkness moment.
Oh,
Oh,
So fucking
Oh
hype.
yeah.
Just oozes Star Wars. I love that we finally get visual representation for the High Republic.
yes.
Love all the scenery in it too. It's a top 3 Uncharted game. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
It's a top 3 Uncharted game. I love seeing scenes way out in the distance and then actually getting to like explore that scenery and get up close to it. Love the combat styles. We've already harped on it enough.
Banger.
Second one based on nostalgia, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Of course. A nostalgia
Yeah.
answer. Dude, that alternate ending in the game,
Yes.
incredible. The hack and slash gameplay, incredible. Leveling up your different force stats and like there's
Play
that
on
movie does
co-op, too.
yeah, that movie does a lot. Revenge of the Sith tries to do a lot, and unlike the majority of movie tie-in games from the PS2 era, this one actually like fleshes it out,
Mhm.
and you actually get to spend more time with Obi-Wan and Anakin in the
Mhm.
beginning, and then you get to see the missions they go on, and it intercut with actual scenes from the movie too. Like it's just
So
it
cool.
rips. It's the best tie-in game I've ever played.
It
Hands
was
hands down.
Oh yeah.
it was also one of the like you had to be there kind of moments, right? But the game came out
Yeah.
before the movie did.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like I remember like getting so excited to go play this because the movie was coming. You know what I mean? I want to
Right.
play the game, and it had scenes from the movie in it, and then it's
Yeah.
not cut in a particular way where you really get much
Yeah.
of the movie story out of it. But like,
Yeah.
it is cool either way.
My 7-year-old dumbass, I was in the theater and I was like turning to my dad. I was like, I played this. I played this section. This is the video.
I know what's about to happen. I've been here.
Yeah. And then you do the dual mode, and
Ugh.
you put two of the same character against each other, and it's like Grievous with 4 red lightsabers versus normal
Yeah.
Grievous, or blue saber Dooku, and the alternate versions. I love that shit. Sucker for that shit.
They had Obi-Wan from episode 3 and then Ben Kenobi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you could unlock Darth Vader in the
Yeah.
Death Star hangar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got one on quality, we got one on nostalgia, and then on pure scope and scale, 2022 Game of the Year, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Are you fucking kidding me with this game? 9 movies in one game. That's all that has to be said.
Yep.
9 movies
Yep.
in one game. Incredible. I love it so much. All the characters, all the stuff from the movies you get to do, all the
Funny
jokes.
gags.
Yes, dude.
Jango Fett
Incredible.
survives in this version, I think.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Jango
goated.
Fett lives.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
my God.
about the intro to the episode 3 segment where that
Yes.
one battle droid
Retiring.
is
Yeah,
celebrating his retirement, and then he gets run
Yeah.
over by Anakin's ship like immediately.
Yeah.
It's so good. I think about it all the time.
100%. The one that gets me is the camera panning through the ships onto the Resistance base, and at the beginning of the Last Jedi, and it just hits the cameraman, like just hits
Oh,
hits a ship or whatever. Like love the gags, love all the hub worlds, and an insane amount of content to do in this game too. All the
And
minifigures,
detail.
yeah,
It's gorgeous.
detail, Easter eggs, stuff like that. Like it, and yeah, the ray tracing in that game, chef's kiss. So that's my one based on scope and scale. Those are my answers.
I love that one too because you get to run around all of these worlds.
Oh,
And
yeah.
a bunch of especially in particular like Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker that we haven't been able to do in video games at this point. Video games are much harder to
Yeah.
make. They take much more time. We don't really do tie-in movie games anymore, and so it was cool to be able to run around like Canto Bight or whatever for the first time.
Yeah, man. Dexter Jester's Diner.
Yes, the best part of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, those neon signs on Coruscant, just like what they were saying with the ray tracing, just looked
Yeah.
amazing.
Man,
Yeah.
hits.
Made me want that 1313 so fucking bad, dude.
Tell me about it, dude. Oh my god, tell me about
Hey,
it.
shout out to Bounty Hunter though, man. That's a song.
Yeah, shout out Bounty.
Shout out
Hunter, for
Bounty
sure.
Hunter.
That's
Shout out to the original Lego Star Wars games too. I mean, like
Yeah, oh yeah.
the first one and the second one, as well as I think the third one with Clone Wars, like
Mhm.
just like a great, like just fun to play, dude. Like the
Yeah.
gameplay is just so good. It's just like a game you can just sit back and play for hours.
It's just a good time. I'm probably gonna load up Skywalker Saga again for the fourth, right? Run through some of the Phantom Menace stuff before I go watch it in theaters again.
Mhm.
Which,
Mhm.
speaking of Phantom Menace, shout out to that PS1 game because
Bro, I I remember
The
playing that at
top-down
my
one, yeah.
at
yeah,
my buddy's house, and it's just like it's wild. You can attack anybody in that game.
oh yeah, you can that little protocol droid at the very beginning. You can destroy that when
Yeah,
the room's filling with gas.
yeah.
And of
And
course, as we all know, the greatest Star Wars
oh.
video game ever made is actually the Masters of Terrascasi.
Oh,
The
Dude, I was watching a
Tekken
YouTube video about
knockoff
that
game.
today. That game is wild. I picked that up at Hollywood Video for like $4.
Oh, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
I'll say
And
oh, good.
because it's Star Wars, we're like, oh, like we're gonna like it, and yeah, it's it's got some novelty to it, I guess. There's literally a character named Whore in that game. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
what are they doing, bro? What are they doing?
yeah. I'll say if anybody does have that nostalgic feeling to replay Phantom Menace, if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, you can play it on PS5.
Yep,
Oh
yep.
shoot!
I
No
did that
trophies,
for
though.
like an hour. I played the first couple levels, and it's like, oof, this controls do not age very well.
Tank controls, yeah. You're
Well,
like,
the thing I loved a lot about it is I didn't realize this, but the PS Plus, like when you're playing the older games, they actually let you like rewind time. So like if you die or something, you can just rewind it instead of having to reload your save.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so that's honestly going to make that game way more tolerable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also with you, bro. I really love EA Battlefront 2017. I picked it up for launch. I played the shit of that. I want to give a shout out to I was always partial to Rogue Squadron 2 on the GameCube, launch title for,
Yes.
Yeah.
for the Cube there. Gave us a little another great look at sort of like what happens between episodes like 5 and 6, right? And running around as Rogue Squadron, they had a bunch of like unlockable ships. You could unlock like the Millennium Falcon and stuff, and do all that. And I also really like Squadrons, just in terms of
Yeah.
mm,
like really excellent ship combat. We
able to
played
play
that
in
multiplayer
VR.
here on stream. That was playing in VR is awesome, and playing Squadrons reminded me a lot of playing Rogue Squadron 2 back in the day, and so I had a great job.
And Force
a great
Unleashed.
time with that. Yeah,
Force
Force
Unleashed,
Unleashed.
dude.
Yeah.
I love that game. It's
Yeah.
very flawed, but it's so freaking fun.
It just
man.
hits.
It's as a concept, I love that, especially because at the time, so many games were kind of going after that like OG God of War trilogy, like power
Mhm.
fantasy feeling, and so they're
Yeah.
like, what if we did God of War but in Star Wars, and that gave us Force Unleashed, and like it's just
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. I would love for them to like try another crack at that character, because like I think there is something there.
Oh yeah.
If, like there's parts of it now where I'm like, okay, this is like a little extra.
I
but-
think you'd have to like tone him down to fit him.
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
He's not
Yeah.
throwing TIE fighters around or anything, but I do think like Star Killer or Jason Merrick or whatever the fuck his name was, Galen Merrick, excuse me.
Galen, yeah.
Would fit like really well within like the new like Inquisitors, right? I think
Oh,
there's
yeah.
there's something there that could definitely be really, really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. And shout out to the second game too. It's way bad. The story makes no sense.
Combat,
But the gameplay is awesome.
Oh yeah. But
It's
That's
way better
really
than the
good.
first one. It's way better than the first one gameplay wise. So,
Mhm.
and it's like 3 hours, bro. It's so
Yeah.
short. So, I remember busting it out in a weekend when it hit like
Mhm.
Games with Gold on Xbox or something back in the day. So,
although I'll say the first one did give us the iconic Darth Vader "I lied" meme.
I lied.
All
Great
right,
po-
it's time for the big one.
The big one.
I want to hear what your favorite Star Wars movie is. Josh, kick it off, please. What's your favorite Star Wars movie?
The motherfucking Force Awakens.
Let's go,
Are you
baby!
kidding me?
Yes!
Are you kidding me? I love this movie so much. It introduces and juggles all of its characters perfectly within the first 15 minutes. Getting this Darth Vader wannabe with his grandson who's very conflicted. We have the legacy character, the half Solo, half Skywalker, and he's the fucking bad guy. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? And then we give him a little Emperor-esque character with Snoke, but whatever. kills him like a bitch in the next movie. That's awesome, right? Ray, the smuggler who's destined for more but trapped and holding on to the past. Finn, this stormtrooper who's questioning the order. Uh, Princess Leia, who's now a war general, and her smuggler husband, who now has stakes in the conflict in the war because his son is the direct leader, the opposite fucking side. Like it juggles all these characters so well. It has the visuals of the prequels with the practicality of the original trilogy and just fucking meshes them so perfectly. That duel on fucking Starkiller base at the end of it is like top
Yes.
2 for me. I love that duel so fucking
Yes,
much. The weight of the sabers, in the prequel
masterpiece.
trilogies were just twirling sabers like they're nothing versus they used to have weight in the original trilogy, and the weight is brought back when Kylo's swinging it around, and him and Finn there,
Mhm.
incredible. I love this movie start to finish. It's the Star Wars movie with where I would make the fewest changes personally.
Mhm.
Like there are a
Yeah.
few things I would change about that movie, but I chef's kiss. I love it so much.
Force
One of the
Awakens
reasons.
is also my number one.
Yep.
Let's go, dude.
So when we get to me, I've got a couple locked and loaded, but that is my number one, and I'm not going to touch too much about like all the things you just said because I think you nailed it. But it's also partially my number one just because of the like feelings and memories that I have leading up to the release of it though too.
Same here.
Yep. Same.
It reminded me so much of being a kid when episode 1 was about to come out, and just watching like the entire world kind of be excited for a new Star Wars. We're in this brand new time period. Nobody knows who these characters are or what's going to be happening. You have uh, the first like road to Force Awakens like media material coming out. I was reading Lost
Yes.
Stars and comics and doing all
Yeah.
of these things. That was when the first EA Battlefront came out, and they went and put like the battle on Scarif as like a DLC add-on like right before the movie came out. It was Star Wars hype in a way that I hadn't felt before or since. You
Yeah.
know, I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
the zeitgeist of being around that. And I remember it was after I'd already moved out of my family's place, and my dad, like my parents were stationed in Hawaii, and so I got to go visit
Mhm.
my family in Hawaii. We all went to the theater together. We finished the movie, and we immediately walked down to the mall. My dad goes into the Disney store to buy like a stormtrooper action figure to put on his desk like immediately
Yeah,
afterwards.
dude.
I
That's
walked out of
awesome.
there with this sweet like Kylo Ren figure because Kylo
Yeah.
Ren dope as hell. I still remember
Best
seeing
Star
the
Wars
trail,
character.
the reveal trailer for the
Yeah,
first time, and seeing that rad fucking
dude,
lightsaber.
Yup.
I was just about to bring that up. That fucking Thanksgiving 2014,
Ugh,
that reveal trailer was something else. All the shots of the new stormtrooper design, Finn popping up,
favorite stormtrooper, by the way.
all the
That's
stuff,
right.
and then we end on it, on the lightsaber igniting, and then we do that cool ass shot with the Millennium Falcon where we go up and we go
Yup.
upside down, and the music is playing. I remember like tears to the eye, dude. Are you kidding me?
Just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Force Awakens is also my number one for
Woo!
many of the same
Let's
reasons.
go.
Like, it's like you mentioned, Chris. Like to me, I did grow up, and I vaguely remember seeing Phantom Menace when I was younger.
Mhm.
Not necessarily in theaters, but I just remember like there was some holiday where my parents got me the VHS for Phantom Menace. So I
Yeah,
remember watching that constantly. And I do remember seeing Revenge of the Sith in theaters, but man, there's just something else about Force Awakens. Like just the hype leading up into that. And I just remember the one thing or kind of memory that holds it in a special place for me is because I was up at college at the time when that came out. So I remember coming back for winter break and I had already bought my ticket to go see it. And I remember telling my dad that, and he's just like, "You didn't get one for me?"
Oh,
Because the theater was so full, there was
yeah,
only enough spot for me to grab one.
yeah,
But it was just like it's just Star Wars hype is so real, and there's
yeah,
just
yeah,
some like you had said, there's something about the Force Awakens that I don't
right.
think we'll ever see again.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And
yeah.
I
It was
like
it was just it was a bit different.
yeah, and I like I know it, didn't last too long because immediately online people started hating it, but that lead up to it was something
Incredible.
Yep.
something else. And dude, when they kill Han Solo in that movie, are you fucking kidding me?
I was
Are
floored.
you fucking kidding me, dude?
Shooketh.
That was like one of the most intense theater experiences I've ever had. When he's not letting go of it, and the you know
Oh, the
dark,
lighting.
like the
Oh,
light goes out and the red
it's so
comes
good.
up, and Kylo's no longer conflicted. He knows what he has to do, and fucking sound
Am I about to
design.
watch Force Awakens tonight?
Dude, yeah, hell yeah,
I
man.
was about to
Watch
say the same
party.
thing, dude.
Yeah.
I love the way you put that, Josh, to where it's like it's the one that I would probably change the least. I can't really think of a lot about it that I dislike.
Mhm.
You know what
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I think there's things I think I would add to it to kind of build some other stuff out.
100%.
But like what's in the movie, I love it from start to end. And again, this is a house where we love all Star Wars movies. This is an all nine
Star
Star
Wars
Wars
good.
saga
Oh
house.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is something special about Force Awakens in particular for me. Now I know you said that was your pick, Alec. If you had to pick another one,
Mhm.
what would your other favorite Star Wars movie be?
Oh, that's a tough one because I had a secondary pick, but now that I'm like, I just had a thought of another one.
Ooh,
I think
A runner-up to the runner-up.
exactly. So I think I am going to go with the nostalgia pick of Return of the Jedi.
ooh, okay.
Because I think there might be my other one that I was originally going to go with might get brought up at some point. But so I'm going to go with the one that, like, it was one of those, like, I know everybody loves Empire, loves that. But man, for me, as a kid, that was like probably the Star Wars movie I watched the most. Like, I had Luke's green lightsaber as a kid. So that was always like, it was just so cool to me. And I was devastated when it broke because it was just a plastic thing, like, and it just collapsed it. And
Yeah.
a couple of the segments broke off. So I was devastated when it broke. My parents even tried like taping it back together to make it work again.
Yeah.
But like just him seeing coming into Jabba's palace, like just starting with C-3PO and R2 going into the palace, and then that whole segment on the desert sand with I'm forgetting the monster's name, the Sarlacc pit.
Sarlacc.
Sarlacc,
Yeah. And then just ending it with just the fight and like the tossing his lightsaber aside. It's like, it just hits.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's interesting. You picked that one because that was going to be my pick because I didn't think anyone was going to pick Return of the Jedi. But yeah, I echo everything you said. I got to see it in theaters last year for the 40th anniversary.
Oh, I missed that. I was so sad.
And there is something different about seeing movies you've already seen on the big screen. Like it still brings like a new experience to it. But I mean, yeah, like I love the opening, seeing the scum and villainy, seeing Luke as a Jedi kick butt. I love the space battle. It's still like might be my favorite space battle in Star Wars
Interesting.
on the movie, side of things. Luke's arc, fully rejecting the dark side at that point. Obviously Vader's redemption is so heartfelt, seeing Leia and Han like come fully formed as like different like leaders and stuff like that is just it's incredible, man. So I love it.
The whole Endor section, we get the speeder bikes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lando, shout out to Lando
Yeah.
because he's coming to Fortnite soon. Like,
Woo.
I obviously like he's meant to be hated in Empire, but like to see him kind of have his own little arc from Empire to Return and like be a rebel leader and like, dude, like going into the Death Star because there's like a Star Wars arcade game where you get to like kind of do that too. And like,
Yeah.
and I think is it in Rogue Leader or Rogue Squadron Rogue Leader, or is it in the third Rogue Squadron game? You get to do that too, but yeah, like seeing like the like wireframe framework of like the internal part of the Death Star is like
just,
so
like,
cool.
Put together with tape, basically.
Yeah, and it gets small, like, and yeah, it's just so epic, dude. It's just it does feel like the culmination of like of Star Wars in a lot of ways.
I was so sad when they didn't have the second Death Star battle in Lego Star Wars or Skyward Saga.
Yeah, I would pay for DLC for that, dude.
Right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
No question. Well, since Return was also your number one, do you have a number two, Brett?
Yeah, again, I wasn't expecting to Return the Jedi. It's like,
You
Sorry,
got thrown
it was one of
off.
those things. The last second, it was like, you know what? I did really like that movie growing up. Like,
Hell yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I guess gotta go through my picks here because I picked one movie for each like era. So,
Yeah.
um, low tier or prequel era, I wrote Attack of the Clones.
Shocker.
Love it a lot because that was the first movie that I was like fully cognizant of like the pre-release
Sure.
anticipation. That was also like one of the first like DVDs that we had, so that was like just on
Yeah.
rotation all the time. Like Josh was talking about for our TV segment, like Camino looks awesome.
Yes, dude.
The clones look awesome. There's that one shot on the Battle of Geonosis with the dust kicking up, like that looks so cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you see like in the sand, like the reflections of all the
Yes.
blackness like going back and
oh
forth.
Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
So dope.
The visuals and scale of that movie is like
That's
insane. Like seeing all the clone troopers lined up like row by row and turn on the ship and the whole battle of Geonosis and seeing all of Camino, like all the scope and scale of that is something else, and it is like visually interesting and very eye catching.
It is
Like
one
it
of
is
those
eye
things
candy.
where it's like George Lucas doing what he does in pushing beyond what we thought movies were capable of. Like at the time, like it was the like one of the first like really like all digital movies that had come
Yeah.
out in that format, and it get the effects get a lot of hate now, but it's one of those things to where it's like without like what Lucas was doing in episodes 2 and 3, like we never would have had movies like the MCU. You know what I mean? It's like this laid the groundwork for like film as we know it today.
I still think the CG holds up because
It doesn't look bad.
it does look dated, but it has like a style to it that like supersedes anything that looks rough around the edges. There's
I
one
watched it
shot.
again recently. I was like, Dex still looks good, man.
There is one shot though. It's when Django captures Anakin and Padme with the droidekas behind him, and it looks so bad. That's the only shot that looks bad though. But everything else looks fantastic. And you're talking about the scale
where I could be like, okay, this is a green screen, but not in a way that's like distracting.
Yeah. You're talking about the scale. Like, even though it's called like the franchise is called Star Wars and we see battles in pretty much every movie, like the scale, obviously in the original trilogy, a lot of it was technological, and then like sequel trilogy, like it's just like storytelling choices. But like in Attack of the Clones on the Battle of Geonosis, like that's like the biggest like scale we ever see of like different parts of the theater of the battle. Obviously, when the Jedi all ignite their lightsabers, it's like, oh my gosh, because usually you just see one or two at a time. Like, shout out to Coleman Trebor, dude, almost took out Dooku.
So close. And then, like we talked about the technology behind it, and using the technology to make some of the most iconic shit ever. Dude, the seismic fucking charge.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah.
Wave one, the boom.
Wow.
That shit
Yo.
hits, dude. That shit's so rad, dude. Are you kidding me?
And then like the Django Obi-Wan fight on Camino, like one of the few times we see like a non-Jedi versus Jedi battle in the saga.
The other one is Force Awakens.
Yeah. And it's just cool. It's just cool to see like, Django hold his own in that situation. And then I know it's like, not perfect, but you do like see the arc of Anakin's fall and like, why he falls and stuff like that. Obviously there's issues with that, but the framework's there in my opinion.
Am I having my Thanos moment of perhaps I treated you too harshly on Attack of the Clones?
I like to give a lot of shit for the bit, but it's like I like all Star Wars. You know what I mean? I enjoy parts of
talking about it now. It's just like,
dude, Christopher Lee as Dooku, like getting a legendary actor to participate.
How he had his own hilt made because he knew how to fence, and that was his fencing style.
Dude, his lightsaber looks so sick. Again, when we were talking about Tales of the Jedi, he's in the movie for like 10 minutes. You hear about him from like the very beginning, and you don't see him until Geonosis, really. Like, what a fascinating character, because, that whole conversation with
Christopher Lee on top of the world at that point, because Lord of the Rings was coming out around that time.
Right.
You know?
Right, yeah.
Just killer. I know I love to shit on it on content. I do enjoy Attack of the Clones. Again,
And
shout out to Dexter's Diner, which is in fact the best part of Attack of the Clones.
because like Phantom Menace has its own like style.
Mhm.
Like Attack of the Clones is like what kicked off the whole prequel like theme with like just the way
visual
all the
aesthetic almost.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, so love it a lot.
All right, I'm gonna take us home here. Force Awakens is my favorite Star Wars movie. We've covered that a bunch. Most of my answers here have been crowd pleasers, and so I will not say The Empire Strikes Back as much as I do really enjoy that movie, and I have another kind of out of left field pick.
I know what you're gonna say.
At least for me. So I'm gonna. It's not Solo.
God damn it, dude.
I am gonna give Solo a gigantic shout out though. I fucking love that movie. I want
Yeah.
Solo 2 to happen so badly. That movie rules. Give us more Solo. Alden Ehrenreich kills it as a young Han Solo. Do not waste
Yep.
him. Don't let him get too old. Let him play a younger Han Solo while he's still young. Solo's so good.
Are we kind of getting that with the Lando show?
Maybe. I hope so.
Maybe.
And I'm fine with the Lando show. I think that's a great idea. I really love Childish Gambino as a young Lando. I feel like it makes sense to maybe as a side character have Alden Ehrenreich appear in a couple episodes. You know,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. But like, I want more Solo.
And play some Sabacc with them.
We still don't know what's going on with Maul as the head of Crimson Dawn. Like, I want to see more Kira. It's just give me
Right,
more Solo.
yeah.
Solo is really cool, and we don't get a lot of live action. I guess we
Well-
have Mandalorian now, but like at the time, we didn't get a lot of film time spent with the
Mhm.
dirty underside of the galaxy. But my favorite Star Wars movie. I've been lucky enough to have seen all 9 Star Wars movies in theaters. I saw the special edition re-releases as a kid in the late 90s. And that was my first exposure to Star Wars was seeing the special edition re-releases. That was the
Ooh.
first time I watched those. My dad took me. I do in fact remember like discovering like Darth Vader being Luke's father for the first time and being floored. But those were released a year before my other favorite Star Wars movie, which is The Phantom Menace.
Yep. That was my original runner up.
Yeah. They're putting it back in theaters for its 25th anniversary this year. I might be in the movie theater right now as you're watching this. You know, I'm going to see it on the 4th. Yeah,
Same here.
You know,
I'm gonna try to see it that weekend.
similar to the Force Awakens, it was just kind of like a you had to be there moment, but kind of like the zeitgeist of being a Star Wars fan before the Phantom Menace was coming out was kind of like it was a really special thing. My parents still have a bunch of like the little like cup toppers that you got at Taco Bell of like Sebulba and Watto. You know, I had so many pod racing various toys. I was lucky enough to be able to get Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul action figures right, and then I'd be fighting them all. Like just being able to. It was the first time following the original trilogy that we got a glimpse at what the Jedi looked like at their peak. You know what I mean? We saw a half robot and a kid who didn't know what he was doing. And an old man, and so now it's like, all right, here's young people who have been in the Jedi life their entire lives, who are at the best at what they do, and like visual. I mean, you know, you look at the Darth Maul fight at the end of it, and it's just so completely different than anything else we had ever seen, and so fun to. I know there's problems with them not like actually striking to hit each other. Don't care. It's cool looking. That's all I want. Is it looks cool. You know.
It gives us the best Star Wars song ever in Duel of the Fates.
Duel of the Fates. I mean, yeah, you know, it's iconic. It's top of the line Star Wars music. John Williams was in his motherfucking Duffy. You know, yeah, it was just one of those things where there is something like different about it. I do have my criticisms to be like, why would you start the prequels here and not when like as Anakin's like joining the Jedi or whatever? You can kind of cut a lot out of the Phantom Menace and not really have it affect the overall Star Wars universe as a whole. I love when Phantom Menace came back into the theaters the last time in 3D, and it was another additional cut, and they had like 2 extra minutes of pod racing, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
Please.
You know what I mean?
Right?
Fucking pod race it up, because that is my favorite part. I'm sorry, Darth Maul, but the pod racing is in fact my favorite part of the movie.
Hey.
I love it so much. I'm so excited to go see it again. And like we talk about things outside of the movie, like I was 7 years old when the Phantom Menace came out, and so I had my little Obi-Wan Kenobi toy lightsaber. All of my friends in my neighborhood all had different lightsabers. We'd go outside and pretend to be fighting battle droids and destroyers and beat the absolute piss out of each other with these little plastic like telescoping lightsaber toys, right, which have come a long way, in the last few years. It's just one of those things to where the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, the prequels really were that was for millennials. That is the Star Wars that we grew up with. That was my childhood. I was playing those games. I had those toys. I had my friends and I would pretend to be those characters. Anakin Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars character. I was this close to saying Obi-Wan Kenobi as my favorite Star Wars TV show, just because it gave us more of that in a new period.
Yeah.
I like we're definitely long for time, so we did have a couple other categories that I don't think we're going to get to, but like duels was going to be one of them, and I was going to throw in there the duel between Ben and Vader at the end of Obi-Wan Kenobi as one of my favorites. There's just for old people like us now. I think the prequels do kind of hold a special place in our hearts because those were the movies that were coming out when we were young.
Yep.
And I do think it's gone a little far in terms of like a little bit of like
revisionist
history a bit to where it's like I do my best to talk about that. I do enjoy them. I will call them bad movies because like as films they're really okay. But it's okay. It's a thing doesn't have to be like critically or objectively, as much as I hate that, good for you to enjoy it. I enjoy the shit out of the Star Wars prequels, and that's okay. You don't have to try and convince me that it's secretly a masterpiece. It's really not, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with enjoying something that's not objectively good. That's okay. You're allowed to, and I do. So yeah, Phantom Menace is one of my favorite Star Wars movies. If I can't say The Force Awakens.
Shout out to the N1 Starfighter, dude.
Such a cool ship, dude. Come on, such a rad ship. There was that I can't remember the name of it now. There was a Star Wars game on the original Xbox too. Starfighter, I think was the name of it.
Yeah.
Where they call it Starfighter, you just play as the N1 in that game, and it's in like first person. It was really weird. I don't know how well it holds up. I haven't touched it since like 2000 or whatever.
Right.
But I did play the demo disc a bunch on my OG Xbox. Well, everybody, happy May the 4th. Thank you guys so much for coming here and celebrating Star Wars with us today. I hope that you guys are doing something really, really cool for May 4th and just enjoying Star Wars. Go out and buy a half gallon of True Moo blue milk, make some Wookiee cookies, play a Star Wars video game, watch a movie. Please comment down below and tell us what all of your favorite Star Warses are. The engagement really, really helps. We're slowly on the climb up to monetization, and anything that you can do if you don't follow, please do.
We defeated the Empire.
We defeated the Empire. Victory celebration. Peace. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you at the next Waypoint.